right, so let's try this. Round 3. All right, guys, so as you can see behind me, we got this awesome drag strip. So Hunter actually built this thing. So we've been working on this ice racing deal. So he got a plow from a friend, and
we just we just kind of plowed a couple lanes out here in this bay. And it's tough this year because the ice is real jagged and real rough. So this track is very rough, but it's a start to kind of, you know, at least test the cars out. I have my Mustang out here, and I just built a set of studded tires for it. So trying to get that thing out here to test it out, and this track is kind of just for that purpose, because if maybe Ryan will film it here, that this track is pretty bumpy, and we're trying to get somewhere on the lake that has smooth ice, but it's been very tricky. I've been doing this for about a week now, and I've been out here with a blowtorch. I have the torch over there. I bought a transfer pump that's in the back of my truck, and a garden hose with an ice auger, so I can try to flood the lanes. I might do that later tonight and see if that kind of helps smoothen things out, but it's been a challenge for sure.
So Hunter did take his car out, his Mustang. I want to show you the ruts. So you saw the ruts from my other video that my truck made. I want to show you the ruts that a 9-second Mustang with studded tires makes.
Dude, it almost like hops. You can see the ice get like deeper and then not as deep.
Yeah. So this thing is like deep. That's pretty deep. Pass. That's like 1.5 inches, one pass. And that was a 2-step launch, you said?
Oh yeah. It flung all the ice up, like it just shot. I'll have to do one, and then you can film it maybe.
All right. Yeah, that thing's pretty rowdy. So now I'll talk to you about my problems.
Yeah, no kidding. I can't believe Ryan actually came down here. He's been through so many struggles today. I give him props.
So on the way here, well, I should start on the way home. Last time, I was really happy I didn't have any issues, and then I felt the truck starting to go like in and out of lockup a little bit. It only did it for a second. I didn't really think much of it, but now on the way here, I'm having some issues. You can see underneath, I'm like leaking transmission fluid everywhere. So I noticed that it was coming in and out of lockup, and it wasn't fully locking, so I pulled over and I actually added some transmission fluid to it. And I can't even tell where it's coming from because it's like wet on the bottom side. So it actually took me like almost 3 hours to get here. It's like a half-hour drive normally. It took me like 3 hours to get here because I kept having to pull over and just being really stubborn, really. Just wanted to get here and see this. Maybe make a pass, but probably not, because I don't think it'll be a good idea. So I think I'm having issues with that converter and definitely leaking somewhere. So I'm gonna take a gander. I might put it up on the jack stands, put it in gear, spin the wheels, because when I'm running it, I can't see where it's leaking. So I wanna see if it's like a hose or a fitting on the trans or whatever it is. But that sucks. All right, guys, so since it's like after 4 o'clock, it's gonna be dark in less than an hour. I'm not even gonna switch the wheels out. I'm just gonna kind of return the favor for Hunter when he was filming for me the other day. And I'm gonna do some filming for him with his camera. I'll film some with my camera. I had some instructions from him to go way down as far as I can, and he wants me to get some shots of him flying by with some decent speed, so it should be pretty cool. And for you guys that don't know, this is a 9-second Mustang. He runs like 990s in the quarter pretty consistently. At least he was doing it at the tail end of last year, so made some good modifications to it, changed engine and turbo and all kinds of stuff. He's going pretty fast now, so he's gonna do it on the ice. Here's one of the big humps he was talking about here. You can see this ice patch and then this spot of sun right here. It's a pretty big lump. So he said he got a little airborne when he was flying by on this thing the other day. So we definitely want to try to level some of this off. We're gonna try to get an earlier start next year. We feel like it's kind of late in the year. But I guess we didn't really know how much we were gonna like this or how seriously we wanted to take it. So we've been talking about trying to come out earlier and actually get a decent course going and like try to level it off with some water and maybe have some events or something like that. So he's warming up the car. Let's watch him do it. All right, guys, so Hunter's getting ready to go. Yeah, he definitely was in the air off of that bump right here. He was, probably have to slow the footage down. He was like probably a foot in the air off of this bump right here. Oh my God, that's hilarious. So they even plowed a turnaround. Might be kind of hard to see, but he's got a little path plowed and he's just gonna turn around and he can come right back. So you got 2 lanes and a return road. So it's a pretty cool little deal. See if he comes flying back the other way. Yeah, he slowed down for the bump that time. Smart guy. I think he might be trying to get past that big bump. Jesus. Oh man, I like feel that thing in my chest when he flies by. Alright, and I just want to show you guys how serious I was about today. I got the GoPro with a memory card in there. I got my regular camera. I brought some extra E85. I filled the methanol. I brought ropes, tools, everything I need. I even got a tow strap in the back just in case we break something. And the fucking transmission doesn't want to be happy. So even though you're prepared, shit still happens. And I even put a new coupler on here. I brought a spare coupler. Everything I needed, all the tools for it. But sometimes shit still happens. So, and I've been kind of debating for a while taking that converter out and just putting a stock converter back in. So I feel like I don't really like that converter very much, and I think some of my issues that I've been having with like temperature, and that's pretty much it, are from that converter. So I want to like switch back to a stock converter for a little while, and then during the summer probably do like a nice lockup converter. So we'll see where that goes. Alright, so I came underneath and I just wiped everything off so it's dry, and I just want to see where it starts to leak. I'll go for a little drive and see where it's leaking, or if it was just extra fluid that sprayed around from when I was trying to put the fluid in at the store, but we'll see. We're gonna have a little chat here. So this thing I made at home. I wiped everything completely dry. I used a shirt that I found in the back seat and wiped everything completely dry. Like, I'm gonna see where it's leaking from. Wiped it all dry and drove for a little bit, stopped, went under, nothing. Everything looked fine. So I'm like, screw it, I'm gonna get on the highway and just see if I have any issues. And took it, went on the highway, did a couple pulls, got into boost, did like a couple third gear pulls, got into boost there, and took it on the highway, locked up, now all of a sudden 0 slip. Lockup is fine. I would lift, it unlocks, put my foot back down, it locks again, and it was like 0 slip. Where on the way there, it was locking, unlocking, locking, unlocking, and then like between 700 to 1,000 slip, torque converter slip, when it was locked. So, weird. Like, okay, I'll drive it, and it's gonna have issues. It's gonna do the same thing again. I made it all the way home. It's like over a 30-minute drive. I made it all the way home, never had an issue with the locking. It was at 0 RPM slip the whole time it was locked. And it was like running cooler than it's ever run before. When I got home, the trans temp was at 169. If you guys have been following for a while, you know I've been having issues with trans temp. Like 170 is normal. Sometimes it's like up to 210, 250 when it's really bad. It was 169 when I got home. So, and that's after a 30-minute drive. All right, guys, so I want to show you kind of what was happening, because I was scanning. I scan a lot when I drive. I scan almost all of the time when I'm driving. So, and I was still kind of trying to dial in the tune a little bit. So you can see my air-fuel ratio is a little whacked in some spots as I'm cruising, but it's not too far off. But I'm just kind of scanning, dialing this thing in as I'm going to the lake. So let's check this out. So I'm just kind of cruising along and not really having too many issues. You can see I'm at highway speed, 73 miles an hour, 23% throttle position, and other relevant information here if you want to look at it. So I'm at like a 14.5 air-fuel ratio. But what was kind of odd was I was noticing that my torque converter slip when I'm locked is, I'm in fourth gear, 73 miles an hour, and my converter should be locked. And normally it's around 0 to 1 RPM slip, and it's at 663 RPM. So I'm thinking that's kind of weird. I mean, the trans temp isn't really that warm at this point yet, so everything seems to be fine except this converter slip. So I'm kind of keeping an eye on that. And then all of a sudden, it does the same thing it did for like a little bit, because like I said before, on my way home last time, it did it a little bit for maybe like a minute, and then it stopped. So I didn't really think a whole lot of it. It was kind of on my mind, but not really a huge deal. So you can see my torque converter slip line is at about 5 to 600, and then all of a sudden it starts going kind of whack job. I didn't really have any significant throttle position changes. I was just cruising along, and all of a sudden this is the whoa, 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 whoa sound I was describing before, when it's like trying to lock and then unlocking, and it's just kind of slipping, going back and forth. So as we scroll over, you can see this thing is just whacked. Now it's slipping up to 900 to 1,000 RPM, coming back down to 600-700. It's all over the place. Steady throttle position. Nothing is changing really here. And this thing is just going nuts. So I tried to increase throttle here at 25, and I go up to 35. And you can see the slip percentage jumps up to the slip RPM jumps up to like 1,500-1,600. So this thing is just, like I said, not really doing what I thought it should be doing at this point. So this is actually where I decided I was going to pull over. So I pulled over into a Walmart parking lot. I'm like, well, maybe it's low on fluid. It might be leaking, so I can go get some fluid, and I'll try to dump some more in there and see what happens. So this is why it looks kind of whacked, and then I ended up pulling over and stopping. So what I did when I pulled in the parking lot, I had it in drive, and then I put it in reverse. Nothing happened. It would not move at all. Put it back in drive. Nothing happened. Would not move forward at all. Shut the truck off. Left it sit for like 30 seconds. Turned it back on. And then it went into gear, and then it's been fine ever since then. So it did do a little bit more slipping on the way to the lake. But I want to show you now the scan on the way home from the lake. So here's the scan on the way home from the lake. And this is like driving through the city, getting back on the highway. And this kind of jazz right here is a little bit concerning to me, that it's jumping between gear selections for a little while. So there might be something going on, like, I don't know, maybe something with the pump, or I don't know, kind of up in the air yet. I've been kind of brainstorming, trying to figure out what's up. So it was a little whacked out. This could just be a fluke too, but because I didn't really feel anything at the time that was alarming, like nothing really seemed strange. So now we'll let's go back out to where we're cruising. So I'll do like, let's do like 20 times speed, see how fast that is. So you can see as we're cruising along here, maybe I'll slow it down. Let's get back to reality. 5? Is that gonna work? Alright, so you can see, like, as I'm cruising along here, my throttle position isn't really changing, just cruising along, highway speed 71, and look at my torque converter slip now. Perfect. It's like less than 1 RPM, 4th gear, coolant temp is good, trans temp, it's kind of interesting if you'll watch this. This is when I left the lake, through a little bit of city driving, got a little warm, and now it's just going to come down the entire time. So this thing didn't have any issues the entire drive home. And I'll click kind of towards the end here. Look at the trans temp. It just comes down, down, down. It keeps coming down all the way. Transmission slip is perfect. Everything is locked up just fine, like no issues, like nothing ever happened. And I get home and the thing is completely dry. And by the time I got to my house, the trans temp was at like 169. So it's like nothing happened. Weird. So now I'm going to show you something really weird. Let's go underneath. So yeah, those lines that I said were leaking, everything is completely dry. There is nothing that I dried off is wet at all. I mean, there's still some residual like on the rust and stuff there, but nothing's wet. So I'm pretty convinced now that it wasn't leaking. I did mention that I think it puked. It might have puked out of the dipstick, and that's what Hunter and I thought originally when I actually drove this thing. It was kind of warm after I was driving back and forth doing those pulls, so maybe it puked out of the dipstick and just puked a bunch of fluid all over, and I thought it was leaking. But that really doesn't explain the issues that I had when I was on my way there. So unless it was overfull, this is another theory, it was overfull and starting to aerate the fluid, and it was coming in and out of lockup there, and I thought it was low on fluid. So I kind of made the problem worse by putting more fluid in, and then it puked enough fluid out that it works fine now. I don't know. Gremlins. But hopefully you guys enjoyed the video of Hunter's car. We still want to try to get out. He's got a guy out there plowing right now, actually, trying to find some smoother spots. But yeah, I'm going to stop rambling, try to get this video up. Thanks for watching. Have a good one.